This revolutionary tool that uses AI to allow anybody, anywhere, to capture and create 3D animation.
This technology was used to create this story in 1/10 of the time it would normally take, where we've now seen it used in international productions. We've seen it used in games and films.
This is the real contender to motion capture suits, to optical stages.
We can get the same quality of data from just 2D video that we get with our suits and markers and hundreds of thousands of dollar cameras. People challenge us to go capture unique motions, like, can you ride a bike on it?
Has anybody done that before?
Brian, thank you so much for being here, man.
Thank you for having me. I can't wait to be on this podcast.
Yeah, man. You know, we have a lot of questions lined up for you, but first thing I want to ask is, when are we going to get one of those sweet Move sweaters, jackets that you got over there? I mean, we're here with some plain ass shirts. When are we getting those?
We could be wearing two of these.
Yeah, you could have sent
guys
us
are
earlier,
pros.
man.
Immediately plugging the Move logo, the Move swag. I appreciate it. The next batch that we'll do, you guys will be getting them. They're stuck in the mail right now. You're going to have to wait. They'll get there eventually.
For anybody that doesn't know, this is the sole reason we do the podcast. We just want to bring
get free
people
t-shirts.
on, get free shirts, free sweaters, anything we can get. So thank you so much, Brian, for your time. That was a great podcast. And
Corporate swag is the goal.
Well, jokes aside, Brian, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. And second of all, we want to talk about your stellar career, because you're not just an entrepreneur yourself. After doing a little bit of stalking, me and Farhad, we found out that you're
Nice.
a beautiful sports photographer. You're fascinated and, of course,
Me,
obsessed.
not the photography. I'm beautiful, and the photography is beautiful.
You are obsessed with basketball, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And you're always on the court, always taking photos, and they look amazing for anybody that wants to check them out. But at the same time, you are now the VP of Marketing and Revenue at Move.ai. And for the majority of our audience who are 3D artists, I assume they are already aware of Move.ai. And if anybody doesn't know, Move.ai is this revolutionary tool that uses AI to allow anybody, anywhere, to capture and create beautiful 3D motion data and 3D animation. And all you need, especially now, is one iPhone, one phone, one camera.
Yeah.
And it can go all the way up to 6 to 12? How many cameras does it go up
12
to?
cameras. We've tested with some of our bigger enterprise customers that want to capture 22 people at once. But yeah, you can go up to 12 cameras in our plans right now.
So it's crazy. This is the real contender to motion capture suits, to optical stages. And we've tried the software. It's amazing. If you guys haven't already, get it working, try it out. But you know what? For the next 1 hour, 30 minutes, we're going to listen to Brian, and we're going to talk a lot about Move.ai. But first, I got to ask you, what made you join Move.ai? What was about the mission that attracted you so much?
Great question. So yeah, I've been a big fan of Move for the last year and a half or so. I saw them at the SIGGRAPH talk where they were speaking with EA Sports, is where I first found them, where they did this incredible comparison where EA was like, we can get the same quality of data from just 2D video that we get with our suits and markers and, hundreds of thousands of dollar cameras. And then I got to know Tino because I was living in London at the time. Move is based in London. And I eventually convinced them to hire me. So I was very excited to join over the summer. But what really attracted me is my background is in video production. So I started out in Detroit, started my own video production company, which is where my passion for sports photography, basketball photography, and videography comes from. And creative work is really hard and manual and tedious. And that is true for video production, for design, for 3D, especially for 3D. Man, as I'm learning more about 3D, it's crazy complicated.
Welcome.
But back in 2013, when we started the video production company, if anyone's worked with clients, you know that feedback and review process can be extremely painful. Where you're just, how many times have you sent a final V1, final V2, final V3?
Oh my God.
And you're in these endless email chains, and workflows are difficult. So we really found that as a video production company. So we actually turned the production company into a software company called Slope. And the sole purpose was to make it easy for creative teams to manage all of their work, from planning to review and approval. So we built that over the course of 5 years, worked with some of the top studios, brands, media and entertainment, marketing, creative teams to help them with that review and approval process, especially. So being able to upload multiple versions, do annotated comments on the videos, manage hundreds of videos of production a week. And we got acquired by Smartsheet back in 2019 to really bring it to the world where they have Smartsheet has millions and millions of users. So I went in and spent 4.5 years trying to help creative teams improve their workflows, especially when it came to design and 2D video. And what I basically saw with the rise of 2D video over the last 10 years, I'm starting to see with 3D, where 2D was really hard. If you remember back in the day where you couldn't even upload a video to social media, do you remember that? It seems crazy now.
Yes.
That everything is so video first. But when we first started as a video production company, it was the first time you could actually upload videos to Facebook, which was it's crazy to think about now. But the platforms didn't support 2D video until 2010, like when YouTube started to rise. And so I'm starting to see that more with 3D. And that's what gets me really excited is 2D absolutely took off. Everything's video first. And now I see this crazy change to wanting to support 3D experiences. And there's this huge demand for 3D experiences. But the tooling right now reminds me a lot of what it was like doing video production back in 2010, where you have to buy these super expensive cameras, like pre-DSLR, everything's super expensive. The video editing tools are super hard to use. That there's no workflow tool for you. And so I kind of feel like we're in that stage now where 3D animation teams need better tooling to make their workflows easier. And Move is right at the incredible point of helping do that. So that's my long-winded answer of why I got super excited is I just see this trend of 2D video already happened. Now it's time for 3D experiences to take off, especially as these platforms start to support 3D more.
Wow. I think me and Faraz had this conversation multiple times because we always think about the mediums that people start talking to each other. It first started with text, photos, videos, and 3D. And we always talk about how the transformation from 2D and 3D would be very difficult because of the support of the platform, because of the difficulty of you can create 3D content. And the way you bring it up, it now really makes sense because now with one phone, you can create 3D animation, you can make 3D capture, and it's really fascinating.
No, I mean, the journey you had as well is pretty cool. I mean, you came from, like you mentioned, the industry where you were dealing with the 2D content. So you've seen all of it. And I think this is the best advantage to a lot of entrepreneurs when they've been already through one generation, one evolution, one full cycle. The next one, you're like, this sounds familiar. I've seen that before.
Yes.
And you jump right in. So for you, you believe that Move AI is that platform, is that tool that is going to allow everybody to be able to easily
It's one of them. I think there's always this whole workflow of tools that have to come together, work together, partner, everything from Unreal to Maya to there's all of these creative tools at each step of that workflow that are super important for the process. So I'm excited about Move because we're kind of that first part of the process where the customers I talk to that do keyframe animation, it just seems so painful. You watch keyframe animation in 10x speed and you're still man, this is so hard to do. And it's so hard to execute on vision. I talk to all these animators who have this vision for how they want their characters to interact and tell stories around them. And they're just bogged down in the frame by frame, which some of them love it. I know that's an art form. I absolutely agree with that. But I wouldn't say for me, editing my basketball photography, I don't enjoy framing out the each subject that. I'm I love that there's just automated tools to help me do that. So yeah, this part of the process seems one of the most difficult is getting that animation to actually come to life. And so that's where Move is at.
Let me ask you a question. So we don't know Tino's background specifically, the founder of the company, where this becomes quite interesting for me because if you asked an animator to go ahead and revolutionize animation, maybe this is not how they would approach it, right? Maybe they would continue on the path of, okay, how can I make keyframing easier? But you guys are clearly just removing that entire process. Like you said, it still remains an art form in the future, but for a lot of people who are coming in as newcomers, why do they want to spend that time when they can spend more time on, lighting, rendering, adding in more characters, storytelling? Both of them will live, but of course the majority will now go to the more accessible workflow. Does Tino actually come from an animation background? How did he get into all of this?
Yeah, it's really interesting. We have a good balance in our team of people coming from completely outside the animation industry and people who have been animators for their entire career, which I always think is important. I always found that, especially with kind of the video startup I had, you want people who know it deeply, know that pain deeply, and can really bring that insider knowledge. But then you want people coming in from the outside that think about it a little bit differently. So Tino comes from, I think most of our team most of our research team he met during his PhD program. So that, they're deep in computer vision. They're deep in like the stuff that I do not understand at all that makes it all work. The biomechanics, the physics models, the AI models, everything that actually makes that magic work. But he started from a very personal experience where he was trying to, I think he had just recently had a child with his wife and was trying to work out at home while taking care of the baby and wanted to track his workouts and was like hacking the Kinect together, like trying to like figure out ways for him to track it, how good his workout was, and was like, it is crazy that I can't do this and the technology is not there. So it's a really kind of fun origin story of him experiencing the pain of trying to capture his motion and then saying, why can't we build a better technology for this? And kind of seeing how hard motion capture is and then what industries can it really apply to. So, 3D animation is a big focus for us now, but there are lots of different industries, and not just in film, gaming, production, that can really take advantage of motion capture and getting motion data in.
That's really fascinating, because when I was talking to Faraz, I was thinking Move.ai, of course, whenever anybody look at it, the first thing that they think about themselves is, this is amazing for movies, this is amazing for cartoons, this is amazing for animation. But what other use cases that you guys have faced that you didn't even think about? Because you guys are basically creating a solution which can be, now you mentioned, tracked for sports, for other activities. What other use cases that Move.ai can have outside of animation world?
And you're right. I think you found that film, TV, broadcast, games, productions have utilized 3D the most. And that's really where we found our initial sweet spot is working with those 3D animation teams in those industries. But then you get a lot of demand in the health industry, health and sports. It's not just, performance, so not just trying to capture biomechanics of professional players, but it's physical therapy. So when you can really capture that 3D motion data for rehabilitation, where you're trying to maybe, like for me, when I sprain my ankle once every 6 months playing basketball, how is my movement? How is my mobility returning? How am I doing on my exercises? So health is a huge one. It's anything where, so health is big. You get a lot in like safety cases. So like construction or in warehouses or wherever you're like trying to track people to make sure that they are working efficiently, not overtaxing themselves, they're remaining safe. I do see a lot in that kind of field as well, where you're making sure people, wherever you can think of like fitness apps, where you can track to make sure people are being safe, they're being healthy, they're not putting themselves in bad situations, and you can track and streamline those processes. I see a lot of potential there as well outside the 3D animation industry.
That's really sick. And Move.ai currently offers multiple solutions. I mean, when it comes to application, you have the Move One, there's the multi-capture, and then on the website, there is the real-time, and then there's the API. Do you mind explaining to us a little bit about all of these different solutions? Because we've already messed around with One and Multi, but never really played with Invisible or what you guys have worked on with this guys. Very tempting, because when it comes to real time, that's when a whole new world of possibilities open up. And if people can access that, I mean, we're freaking VR tubers, there's so many different ways you can use this. So could you explain where all of these different elements of Move.ai are at the moment?
Yeah. So I think we do have different products to match customer needs, but it's always rooted in like what our customers telling us. I've interviewed hundreds of customers now, really trying to understand what their needs are. And just what continually comes up is 3D animation teams are trying to capture one or more person in a certain volume of space with a certain amount of quality. And there's different types of quality they need for different steps. So if you're doing previs stuff or you're at home and you just need a quick reference, like there's a certain quality bar you need for that versus a certain quality bar you need for something that's actually going to be AAA in a game, in a film, in an advertisement or production or whatever it happens to be. So we've progressed the technology enough where we weren't sure. I don't think anyone was sure if you could actually capture motion data with one camera. I think a year ago, we weren't even sure if that was possible. And we had a few breakthroughs this year where we get that good enough quality with Move One, where we've now seen it used in international productions. We've seen it used in games and films, and it gives you that level of quality to move off of, because you're never going to replace Move does not replace an animator. Move is meant to be a tool for animators.
Yes.
We will never say, hey, you're going to capture your body, and then like EJ Hassenfratz, like the sumo pug character. Like you're not going to put a human body onto a pug and be like, done. Like there's still all of the, you're always going to have to put that creative storytelling on top of that base. Yes. But if it saves you like 80 or 90% of the time, like that is so important. You can focus on the more important steps of that process. Mm-hmm. So we found a lot of use cases. You just need to capture one subject in a smaller space, whether it's video game idols or attacks, or if it's in a film, it's an interaction. So Move One is a single camera product that works really well for that. Mm-hmm. But then we saw cases where you need to capture 2 or more people, and you need to have it in a larger space, whether they're interacting or there's 8 people interacting at once. If you're creating a TV show with 8 characters and you want them all in the same space, that's where Move Multicam can come in, where you can go up to the 12 cameras, capture up to 8 people in 20 by 20 meter spaces. And then you get the EA who want to track 22 footballers,
Was it an actual match? Was it an actual match?
I mean, that's the goal. Like, why not? Why would you not want to capture, and like it's going up to the end, like what sport has the most players? Like that's what they want to capture simultaneously. There's all these demands for it. But yeah, multicam is like, how can we continually add how many people you can capture, get that quality bar up, make it really easy to set up. So I think the accessibility of having a single camera on a phone is great to like make 3D animation much more accessible to people, all the way up to like the AAA studio needs with multi-camera. And then the API that's the single camera API. If you want to build it into your workflow, that can be really powerful. Not everyone wants to use an application. Sometimes they have their own proprietary technology in their production workflow that they just want to bring it into. But what's really cool with the API too is that anyone who has an app can build us in to capture data from their customer base. So one of the coolest examples that I've seen is we have a customer interest or a prospect interested in using us for their rock climbing app, where they can track someone climbing and get like analytics on how their climb went and helping them map out their climbs. And that's something Move would never build a rock climbing app, but it's really cool to build a set of tools that people can use the motion data however they want.
Wow. That's really sick. And you didn't talk about my most favorite yet, which is real time.
Real time?
The real time.
Real time. Yeah. It's the most fun. It's also the hardest.
I understand. Yes, I understand.
Real time is so yeah, we have the product Invisible, can capture up to 2 people on like a stage space. But yeah, that's where for me being a videographer, like you're on-prem, you're basically just a tech company at that point. Like it's all the hardware requirements, the camera requirements, like you need, like those are like really, really cool. But those are great for events. Those are great for production, broadcast. I've used it a number of times now when we've set up in different studio spaces. And yeah, you build an experience and you're this avatar. And what's cool is like you can either do it directly where it's mirroring you. You can do it so you're interacting and playing a game in real time with your actions. If you have 2 screens across from the world from each other, you can play against each other. We haven't had anyone do that yet, but if you want to, one-on-one against someone in another country, I'm like, that's amazing.
Okay, hold up. Is this accessible now? Is this accessible now?
Yeah. That's product is live. That was launched earlier this year.
We should give it a try.
I want to go and try it right now.
No, but I'm thinking
it's just hard because you need the hardware for it. So it's a lot more like you can pull out your phone and start using Move One, where you need the hardware in like a studio space with the specific cameras, and it's just those are for bigger productions typically.
The reason why I'm asking as well is because we've got this Star Wars remake cinematic that we're working on, and we need to perform a sword fight. For
the virtual production.
We're gonna need to have like proper motion capture for it, and if it's real time, because we can set all the clothing simulation in real time in Unreal Engine. Is that something that you can hook to Unreal Engine as well, or no? For now, it's just capturing in real time.
You can render it out in Unreal, and then you can get that real time render, but then you can also send it to cloud for processing because it's all local. But yeah, that is a focus. Like, how do we get, this is the other, like, can we have a breakthrough where real time is accessible as Move One? Because that was the first breakthrough.
That is exactly.
I don't know. I don't know if that's even possible. It seems like everything's accelerating. So eventually our research and science team, but that would be really cool. Right now it is expensive and harder to do real time than it is to do a Move One or Move Multicam.
You know who should use it first?
Who?
DJs at music festivals.
Yes,
how cool would that be?
A huge screen at their back. You map the DJ with a character on their back, and then the moment DJ moves, Yeah, that would be
Yeah, I would
And
love
then-
to, like the Fortnite concert experiences and
Yes.
performances. Like that would be like having it real time instead of an actual like a pre-produced performance. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
the
I
real
mean-
time stuff is cool.
You know, the hardest part at the same time is getting people to suit up. I mean, we have tried the Rococo
all the
suit,
time.
and we haven't tried any other suits, to be honest with you, so I can't speak for anything else. And the Rococo suits look sexy, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, you still have to put on a suit and then have to calibrate and things like that. Whereas with
Yeah.
Move or their own
the
Rococo solution,
markerless.
it's still much easier. And we've used Move, and honestly, when the first time I used it, and I was on the floor, because if you tried any suits before, and if you lay on the floor, you're gonna have a big failure when it comes to the actual result. And I
Yeah.
was laying on the floor, then I did a mini handstand, and it all worked out. I'm like, holy shit, this is the future. So when you're telling me right now that you guys have no idea if the real time will happen or not, I can almost 100% guarantee. I mean, I don't work
know.
with Move AI, but I think I'm pretty sure you guys can figure it out.
I have a lot of faith. We also have just like the best name, like our VP of science is Dr. Nikos Zikos, which sounds like he's like that guy's gonna figure it out. He's like an evil villain. He sounds like an evil villain. I love
Yes.
Dr. Nikos Zikos.
Yeah.
But like I think we'll figure it out. And yeah, it's like that's what drew me to Move is like I could not believe that you could bring people into space. And you're totally right with these suits because like what talent wants to wear suits? If you saw there was a story that came out, I think it was yesterday, where Hugh Grant was complaining about being the Oompa Loompa in the new Wonka movie, and he hated the suits. He's like, it was like a crown of thorns. Like I just couldn't stand it. And yeah, no talent likes wearing suits. If you have to go to the bathroom, you have to recalibrate. I heard that story
Yes.
over and over and over again.
Yes.
They hate that. It affects your performance. If you're an athlete, it's not your authentic performance because it's restricting your movement. So yeah, it's the suits are crazy to me.
No, 100%. And sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, I wanted to ask because when I went to the website, I saw that you guys are working with EA Sport, Riot Games. I want to know that a lot of breakthroughs usually happen when either you guys are pushing the big companies or the big companies are pushing you guys. So
Yeah.
in the Move AI case, which is true? Is it,
that's an
is
interesting.
Is it
that's a
that
good
you
one.
guys, you guys go to EA Sports and say, hey, let me do a full football field, or they'll come and tell you, hey, 2 people is not enough. Give me 22.
Yeah, it's a healthy balance. It's always a healthy balance when you're building.
Are you sure it's
technology
healthy?
Like this. it's healthy for me. Whether the research team can pull it off, because I think there is this healthy balance of like customers will tell you what their needs, and their like needs can be very difficult to achieve, and they can push you, but they're pushing you in a direction that provides them value. Because it doesn't help anyone if you create technology that doesn't actually provide value to any sort of customer base or any people. So you don't want to just invent things that no one has a use for. So that's a really good thing for customers to keep giving you feedback and to push you. But there's also that, that invention that needs to happen that might not be rooted in a customer, because customers are very deep in their own workflows. And that's also like what I said earlier, having a healthy balance of like Tino coming from outside the industry while also having that industry knowledge from within creates this really good environment to do step changes. Because otherwise, like there's the classic Henry Ford example of like if I asked people what they wanted, they would say faster horses. If you ask people who have used suits over and over and over again, they would probably just keep giving you feedback that they want better and better suits.
Oh,
Exactly.
That's very
So it's
true.
like-
Exactly.
You got to do these like step
This is-
changes. So it's that balance that's really important.
It's the same concept we just talked about animators. If you bring in an animator alone, they might just ask for better workflow and
Keyframings,
keyframing.
yeah.
But then if
Yeah,
you bring
yeah.
people from outside who, like Tino, just wanted to get a better workout done, and so he figured out an entire new
Yeah.
workflow, that eventually ends up helping the entire,
Yeah.
well, not just the 3D industry, but many others. I wanna quickly talk about finger tracking, face tracking, and also weapons as well.
Weapons,
Because
yeah.
I mean, I remember precisely looking at the behind the scenes. I don't know if you saw this, The Last of Us, and how they were the first one, and how they're banging each other and they're just taking the bats and they're hitting the zombies and all that. So of course, for AAA title studios and people like us, I guess slowly now that we're gonna do a Star Wars remake, we're gonna need to be able to hold a bat or a wooden
Lightsaber.
pole as the lightsaber. Yeah. So how is the tracking for all these intricate details of? Well, let's start with the weapons first.
Yeah.
Where do you see that going with Move AI in the future, and where are we at right now?
Yeah, so we are focused on body capture, hand and finger capture.
Okay.
So that's our bread and butter. We do that very well. We also do ball tracking. Thank you, EA. So you can track balls. That's where the customer pushes you a little bit. That's pretty important for an EA. I will say we don't do prop tracking right now. We get that feedback a lot. I imagine that is something that we're going to seriously consider for the future. But I will say if you're wearing any sort of facial capture rig, if you are holding any props, it will not affect the capture at all. So most of our customers will capture with all the props that they need, wearing the helmets with the facial capture. It won't affect any of the motion capture for the body and hands and fingers, which is great. And then you just put it in during your post-production process. But yeah, it's something we're seriously looking at. I will say, I don't mean to derail your question. What I get more than that is, can you capture my dog? Can you capture horse? Can you capture quadrupeds? So yeah, quadrupeds we get a lot more.
Hold on. That could work for, if you want to do a dragon, I guess that would be a much better way. You take an animal that maybe crawls like a dragon and then you track them. That's a much better
way. Then we
miss
Benedict Cumberbatch doing the dragon smog, which
not anybody's going to be as good as him, though. Not anyone's going to do it as good as him.
No one can. That was crazy. That's one of my favorite BTS videos ever.
I know.
But why would someone want to track their dog? Actually?
No, because what if you're doing a dog animation? Do you want
dogs, there's a lot of
yourself?
dogs and horses. Think of how many horses and dogs are in movies.
Wow. Have you guys
get a lot of it.
Have you guys looked into it?
Do you guys have a horse in the studio? That's the first question.
How do you test on that? Well, it's so interesting because the reason that Move is so good is because it combines like the biomechanics and physics models. Mm-hmm. So we have all of this data of how human joints are supposed to move. So like when people are like, well, if you have a single camera and I turn to the side, how do you know where the other arm is when you can't see it? Yeah. And it's because it's based on, we know what an arm should be able to do and what an arm looks like. Like we have lots of data that does that. And we actually brought in, we brought in literally the world's most flexible person, a contortionist. And she was breaking the model because she could go further than any human should be able to. Like it broke it. And we're like, how do we account for that?
I think I've seen
foldable human.
Yes, I've seen those videos.
Like a product you're buying.
It breaks
it. Like the way they fold, it's crazy. It's like there is no bone in their body.
Your body. You should die if you do that, and they still do it.
Wait, is there a video of that on the internet on your social platforms?
I'll have to track it down. This is like Move stories that I hear from yesteryear.
I haven't seen any of them.
I've seen videos.
It's crazy. But like sometimes I look at it, I have to close my eyes. Like, oh my god,
it's like the guys who take.
Well, you can try it. Go use Move One and go try capturing like the world's most flexible person. If you're out there, download Move One and give us the results. But that whole model is what makes that motion data so high in quality. We would have to rebuild that for the quadruped type movement because obviously that movement, those joints are way different. So that's what the leap would have to be. So I think that we have to talk to Dr. Nikos Zikos. But I wonder if quadrupeds are harder than the props. So yeah, these are all things that are fun to figure out what we should do next for customers.
So fingers are figured out. We can definitely say that the fingers can be tracked and we can translate those motion into our characters, right? Because I've seen a video
even
recently.
Move One does it. So even Move One does hand and finger tracking. Mm-hmm. And obviously you'll get better results as the number of cameras goes up, the resolution, just because hand and fingers are hard. But yeah, we'll give you a good starting point for hand and fingers on Move One, and then it goes up with Move Multicam.
And a question, how crazy did you guys went with the number of cameras? I mean, for your research.
How crazy have we gotten?
Yeah, like more than 20.
We have a system where you can upload, because you can upload from most standard camera types. There's like a list of like 20 plus, 30 plus of them. And so it's not like you have to you're not capturing with Move software, if that makes sense.
Yes.
You can if you set up 8 or 12 GoPros, you're filming, and if you just upload the synced videos, I wonder how high they have gone. I think maybe in research we've done like 20, 25 cameras, because the reason you go higher camera is just so that you can increase the volume of space you capture in and the number of people to avoid occlusions. That's what you're trying to basically just cover every single angle possible and make sure people are close enough. So that's the only reason to expand it. So yeah, like if you think of like 1914, could you capture that enormous scene with like 1,000 cameras simultaneously? Like is that even useful? I don't know. It's like that's where like customer feedback is super important.
So what about face tracking? Because for us, we've been investing a lot of time into MetaHuman Animator, which is
Yep.
by far the craziest tool we found when it comes to facial animation for metahumans,
Yeah.
of course, only in Unreal Engine. But it is without a doubt one of the best tools because it allows somebody who has zero idea about facial animation,
Yeah.
right, to be able to
really good.
create almost a Hollywood level facial animation. Almost. I say almost because I know there's going to be people shitting on me in the comments saying that's not Hollywood
yeah.
level. But I just want to say you guys have definitely created something that 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago was not even possible. And I want to ask you, based on your own opinions, and what was the doctor's name again?
Dr. Nico?
Dr. Nikos Zikos.
Dr. Nikos Zikos. Do you think
Yeah.
that you guys will be able one day with Move One and Move Multi-Capture to be able to track facial animation to a point that we're not even gonna need a head rig anymore? We're just acting, just doing our own thing, and then we get
Yeah.
a perfect capture in the software?
We're very focused on body capture right now. So
Okay.
there are really good tools like MetaHuman Animator. A lot of our customers will use Move with MetaHuman Animator, and we have a lot of great examples of that. So, as a growing company, you need to focus and make sure you're really
Yes.
good. So we're going to make sure we're really good at body capture, hand, fingers first. I think I
Then
would
only.
imagine and then, if there is that opportunity later doing facial capture, maybe we may never go in that direction. There could be more important parts of that workflow that we make better. But there are some really good tools out there for facial capture. So if you have success there, we're a really important part of that workflow with body capture.
That's amazing. I think I read one of your tweets or you posted
X's.
on X's. Sorry. that you
One of our
mentioned.
posts.
Yes,
One of
post. Yeah.
Elon
Posts.
said if someone finds a better name than Post, he will pay them. I don't know something.
he was gonna change it, right?
Yeah, no one's ever come up with a new name yet.
So you
Post
mentioned-
works. Everything's a post.
Yeah.
You mentioned that every sport team should develop a 3D content strategy. And,
Yes.
so I really want to dive deep into that because I think it's an important part of the future of social media or any sort of media that we communicate through. Because again,
Yeah.
photos, videos are now 3D. How would you see, for example, I've seen you've done a lot of photos from the basketball court. How
Yeah.
would you see that translate with the teams in NBA or the teams in the basketball league to have that
Yeah.
3D content?
Yeah. So I saw a similar transition at my video startup where when we first started, almost no marketing creative team had video in-house, and they weren't doing a lot of video. So everything was photo, everything was text. Think of how many blog posts were written with no images even or no video. So as the number of platforms increased that allowed you to upload video and prioritized video, and so almost every platform now is very video first. You should be uploading reels. My photos, I love the art form, are deprioritized on social. It drives me crazy. It's all about reels, like reach is crazy. TikToks go crazy. So it's very video first now, and that was not the case 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, hardly any in-house video teams, marketing creative teams at brands, at sports teams were not doing as much video. And now it's exponentially more video. The platforms support it. They have in-house video editors, in-house video teams, and video is a huge focus. So that's, like I said at the beginning, one of the reasons I'm excited about Move is that I'm seeing that shift to 3D. So as more platforms support 3D experiences, you will see sports teams, brands, any marketing and creative team prioritizing 3D work. And that's why I think the 3D animation market is going to take off, because they will need 3D animators. They will need 3D artists to actually build those experiences. So I think once the platforms start making it more compelling to post it and they start prioritizing it, and you're starting to see that more with the AR experiences in Instagram or the Vision Pro coming out, that will create demand from consumers, and marketing creative teams will have to meet that demand. So that's why I think they need to start thinking about it now. That tweet was really inspired by the Phoenix Suns. I don't know if you saw that. They did an incredible video for their season opener where they did 3D scans using Luma of all of their players. And they did this incredible, like Kevin Durant dunking, and you have Chris Paul dribbling, and they did the 3D. So they're able to like rotate around in 3D. And people are like, whoa, like 3D video, like 3D. And it kind of blew, a lot of the sports creative community, that blew their minds. So I think now is the time to start figuring out how to do that. And you see this with even like, what is it? 3D.js.
Gaussian
you can build
splats.
interactive web experiences. Yeah. You're going to start seeing it more so.
Wait, were you saying, 3DJS or 3D Gaussian splats?
What is it called? It's literally a web, like a front end React platform where you can build
3JS.
websites in 3D.
3JS,
right?
yeah,
Not
yeah,
3D.js. Yeah, 3JS.
No, because
Like-
I want to talk to you about 3D.js afterwards.
Okay,
That's why I was
great.
confused. Yeah.
Yeah. So as the platforms go, I think like teams, sports teams, I work a lot in sports, but any brand is going to need that 3D strategy.
Because you work with a lot of companies, usually when a new technology comes in, some industries are very hesitant to pick it up. Some industries are the first one, I'm going to take it, I'm going to use it. Since I think you
Usually arts go in first.
Games,
Usually
I think games,
arts, These guys are more risk-taken, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I want to ask, since I think Brian has talked to many clients, and I think you guys talk to fashion clients as well, clients from healthcare. Who do you think are the most open to this technology to come in that, hey, I want to do 3D capture, I want to use this 3D information that we have, and I want to use it in my pipeline, in my workflow?
Great question, because you absolutely see that industry split of the early adopters versus the lagging customers. It seems like it's always film, gaming, it's advertising, it's the top brands, the top sports organizations, the media companies. So whenever you have a company whose revenue or traction or whatever their growth metrics depend on compelling content, they are the ones that are going to adopt technology to make that content faster, better, higher quality. Like when we, at the end of the video production company run we were doing a lot of like tax accounting and lawyer videos. And I'm like, okay, everyone's adopting video. if accountants are doing it, like once accountants have a YouTube strategy, like that's saturated. If you have accountants doing a 3D strategy, you're like, wow,
that's mainstream now. Yeah, it's mainstream now.
That is mainstream. Yeah, this is just a funny anecdote, but one was like, yeah, YouTube is great. He contracted us to do like 200 plus videos, one video per tax code. So if you Google that tax code, they would come up and then you would contact them to work with. And I'm like, this guy's way ahead of his time. Like, this is incredible. So that's the same for 3D. So I think those companies typically adopt it first. I do see a lot in fashion as you bring it to the metaverse. It's also tough because this industry has experienced these waves of NFTs and metaverse.
Yes.
And they didn't quite take off, but if digital fashion, like if the metaverse really took off, digital fashion would have taken off a lot more. And I think it's just delayed. I think it will come back for these, like Roblox and Fortnite are metaverse experiences. There's huge communities. Whenever a company, and again, if a company relies on compelling content, compelling digital experiences, they are going to adopt whatever they can to make those more engaging and bring in more technology to make that a better experience.
What do you guys think? I mean, this is just a general question. Is the reason why the metaverse, I guess, didn't take off earlier? Or what do you think is going to be the reason why people adopt it? Is it that Fortnite and Roblox are just not tempting enough for a giant population? Does it take the entire new generation to become a little older for us to be able to have a metaverse? What do you guys think about that? Because, a lot of people don't know.
I think there's so many reasons. It's like, what is the metaverse? And I think it just happened to be these giant gaming platforms instead of, whatever third-party thing you had to log into and have a second life in or whatever. Yeah. Because, I think as you go down, like the generations, I'm a millennial, but as you go down to like Gen Z or whatever the next one's called, they are gaming like crazy. So gaming is a huge, huge industry that dwarfs even film. Mm-hmm. So I think as you see more and more people, they're in the metaverse, but in Fortnite or Roblox or Minecraft or whatever game is their choice. I think you'll see these gaming companies lead the charge in building out these worlds that you can be in. So the Fortnite worlds, the Minecraft worlds that you go visit. I start to see brands doing it where they will build their experiences within those worlds. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what will be the turning point. I think it's really platform specific. Like if you can. I'm just thinking like, if you're scrolling X and you can dive into a post into 3D and enter the metaverse from a post instead of like having to fire up a console or a PC, gaming PC to make it work. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the hardware and the platforms support those experiences because I think those are kind of hand in hand.
Actually, I think the point you mentioned, which is very important, is platform. Yeah. I think one of the biggest reasons, not even considering the whole metaverse concept, the concept of 3D capturing and then using the 3D assets, you need a platform to view it firsthand. I think that would be the most important part of the whole ecosystem. So imagine you're scanning something and you're sending it. You need to be able to see it. Now, none of the social medias support any sort of 3D file. It's all, you have to convert into 2D, send it there.
And even if there's a website that does, they're pixel streaming and it can take up to 30 seconds to get inside.
Yeah.
I'm not going to wait 30 seconds for a metaverse to load. So it needs to be almost instantly. Much like how when you want to go into Instagram in an awkward scenario in the lift, right? Just grab your phone and you're in there. It's like almost
you're in the video
instantly.
Immediately.
Yes,
you're
exactly.
In the video immediately.
I think if you can get into that world almost instantly, like you guys mentioned in a platform, and it doesn't require. I guess also one more thing is Fortnite might be too stylized, which is why I think they move towards UEFN, which is Unreal Engine for Fortnite, where anybody can build any worlds because they're hoping different people with different tastes can sort of come into Fortnite and have different experiences. And I can imagine Move AI being the real-time, motion capture technology that allows you to act in that world, because I don't assume you're going to be using WASD in the metaverse, right? I don't think that's going to be the way to go.
At a point, that's why we offer the API, and that's why I'm so excited about the single camera API. Is if you're any gaming company and you want your players, your users, to put their realistic movement, their own movement into games, you can use our API to build it into your program, so someone could capture themselves and then put themselves in the game. So that's been a big pitch for us for a while, is bringing yourself into the game. So like I think about 2K, if I'm playing, if I want to put my own jump shot into 2K, there's been no way to do it. Where with Move 1, I could capture my movements, or if 2K, this is not a pitch to you, to 2K, don't get mad at me. But like if you can capture my jump shot and I can put myself in 2K without having to go to your motion capture studio and go in the game, like that would be so cool to me. So like that user generated motion, like that's really excites me.
Wow, I never thought about that.
Actually, I never did.
Actually, I always think about, when you go to a game, you do character selection and then character design.
Yes.
You select your character, then you can
Add
choose
your
skin.
emotion.
I never thought about choosing your motion. Like, imagine how cool that would. Has anybody done that before with you guys?
It's like for influencers, like they'll put influencers into the game, but they have to invite them into the studio.
Yes.
And they do the cameras and the scans, and like it's like a huge production. Where like I would love to record myself like maybe dunking on like an 8-foot hoop, and then like I can just make it go to 10, like increase my jump in the game to whatever, but it looks like me dunking. Like that would be really cool.
Technically, I think Fortnite should slowly allow you to do that. Technically, we can now import our own animations into Fortnite with UEFN, but the integration of Move AI into that, I believe not just Fortnite, but any other
streamlined.
game. Yeah,
for sure. It should be just so easy.
Yeah, and I think when it will, all of these little moments are just one step closer to, I guess, the metaverse that we're talking about, when all of this gets easier. I want to talk about the future of Move AI. What are you guys busy with at the moment? Clearly, based on what you mentioned, you guys want to nail down the body animation, the finger tracking, and the hand tracking, but is there anything else that people should be looking forward to when it comes to Move?
Yeah, I think about it like we have our easiest way to capture and create 3D animation. So we have our own applications like Move 1, like Real Time, like Move Multicam, where you can use our applications to turn that 2D video into the 3D motion data. So we are going to be doing everything we can to improve that quality. It's, as 3D animators will know, it's things like improving the foot contact, improving how we deal with occlusion, especially with single camera, prop tracking. Do we introduce other types of movement? There's so many things we can do to improve the actual quality of data, but right now the quality is really good. I've seen actually more demand to help with the retargeting process, help take that motion data and put it into your characters and make that process as easy as possible. And we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, but coming from someone who I do a lot of video editing and then opening up Blender for the first time, and I was like, what are all these bones? Like, oh my, like that process is so hard. And there's so many different characters you can create. So matching human movement to whatever character you have, we want to make that as easy as possible. So I see that really with the motion capture products. It's really capturing it as easy as possible and then turning that into your animation for your 3D character. Like that whole process we're really focused on improving. And then it's offering the API. So we're really good at giving you the motion data based on the video, but we don't necessarily know every use case where someone might want that, whether it's rock climbing, whether it's healthcare, whether it's construction project management, So kind of giving those building blocks where you can access how good we are at providing that motion data and letting developers build off of it. So it's kind of those two avenues are really what we're focused on right now.
No, that's wonderful. And I believe what you said about nailing the basics down, making sure that process is the best it could possibly be before moving on to everything else, I totally agree. There's one question I also want to ask. I remember when we were talking about real time, because when we saw initially, you guys mentioned your partnership with Disguise for real time capture. Disguise on its own, I believe, requires its own hardware, but Invisible is slightly different, I assume. Am I right?
Yeah, Invisible is just the software. That can be used across different hardware.
So the reason I was asking that is because for some of the audience who are coming from a virtual production background, if they want to get into the real-time capabilities, they should still look both into Disguise and Invisible, or is Invisible the one you guys are focusing on? That's the one they should be looking at.
Invisible is just the software, and it can be run on a variety of hardware.
Right.
So yeah, it's just the software component. Yep.
Okay. And Brian, you in your background, you have been an entrepreneur, and you had a company which was acquired, and now you are in Move.ai. I want to talk about the challenges that you have faced throughout these years, personally in your career. Were these challenges different now that you're in Move.ai and previously when you were in your own company?
Startups are really, really hard. I think Jensen.
We agree with you. Okay, we agree with you on that. Yeah.
I think Jensen, the CEO of NVIDIA, just went on the Acquired podcast or something, and they asked him about it, and he's like, "Don't start a company."
Yes, you saw that video, right? That video hit so hard. That video hit so hard.
I agree. I joke with Tino and the Move team. I'm like, guys, you're really dumb for starting a company. Just join as VP of marketing right before you launch a great product. And it's way better. Like, why would I want to start at zero? So a lot of challenges in starting companies. Slope was over 5 years. Move has been 4.5 years. They were in research for a long time. You think
How
about
big is
4.5 years of research went into Move One to make that happen. So it's a long grind. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Sorry, how big is Move.ai now? How many people?
I think we're, that's a great question. 30 to 40.
Oh, wow.
People in that range. But yeah, there's a ton of challenges. Do you have any specific questions? Like, everything's hard. I will say though, if you want to think on that for a second, it is way more fun, even if there are more challenges, even if it's harder. So I went from Slope for 5 years to Smartsheet, which is a public company, which is a great company, really enjoyed it. But it's at a stage where I think we went from, I don't know, I think we were like maybe 800 people when I started to like over 3,000 or 4,000 now. So it's not a Microsoft or an Amazon, but that's like thousands of people.
That's pretty big, yeah.
And I have found people really enjoy certain stages of company. Where you might be more comfortable being like a senior manager or director at a bigger company, where the pace is maybe slower, but you have a lot more users and you're having a huge impact on things. Or it could be a growth stage company, or you could like the seed stage, the startup. So I found people really attached to that. I'm definitely more of a startup person, more of like the seed through like a Series B, like that growth stage I love, because you're inventing, and like I'm the one posting all these videos on social media.
There's not like a social
team.
Fast and you're moving fast.
Yes.
That's what you like.
So you're doing and you're having impact every single day, which is really exciting. But yeah, it's really hard.
And in terms of the aspect of the marketing, because Move is a revolutionary product, does it take you a lot of time to go and convince these AAA studios, these game studios, that because now they are used to a product which you've been using for years, decades, and now you're introducing a new product? Does it take a lot of negotiation? Do you have to do a lot of demos?
No, yeah, that's a great insight. And that is the case for any business software. Anytime you are trying to do change management in a company is really challenging. And that's the same for Smartsheet. That was the same for Slope. If you are going in and you're saying you're doing things this way, and we think that this way is better and this technology offers you a better way. So you can't just be like 2 times better or 3 times better, because you have to overcome the pain of change across a bunch of people. So if you've ever tried to convince a group of 100 people to do the same thing, like, it is really, really hard. So you can't just be 2 times better than Suits or 2 times better than keyframe animation. You need to be like 100 times better. And so you really have to showcase that 10x, 100x quality jump, time jump, savings jump. And with the marketing, it is showcasing it. And so what I've often seen is, it's been kind of interesting in our marketing journey that I've seen over the years, where we're now really focused on like how can we showcase that Move is a great storytelling tool, whether you're in film, whether you're in gaming, whether you're in production. So showcasing customer examples of this technology was used to create the story in 1/10 of the time it would normally take, which means you can create more stories. You can improve the quality of the story. You can spend more time on the creative side than just frame by frame by frame. So I think showcasing those customer examples is really important, and focusing on that storytelling rather than like capture yourself TikTok dancing on Move 1. Like that's cool. Like it's really cool that you can capture yourself at home in 10 seconds and like get a video back like that. But the storytelling, I think, is what's really captivating for me for the marketing side.
Well,
right
you
now.
know, I got to give you credit as well. Me and Farad were watching the videos you guys post, especially the ones that you yourself are using a green screen and you're talking about Move. I think that is precisely what a brand needs to do these days.
Yeah.
The more raw the content is, and the more personal it is, the more people can connect with you. Because I genuinely am not joking. We've followed Move in terms of the technology for a long time now, because we were one of the beta users, I think a year and a half
Last
ago.
year, yeah.
And you're the OGs. You're in our DMs forever.
Yeah, one of the OGs. That's the thing. And what happened was I never really connected a face to Move because I guess I never really did any searching. And then the moment your face was there with the green screen talking about Move, that's when I realized...
You see it once, you see it twice, and then you associate that.
And as you've said, beautiful as well.
Yes. Thank you. Sorry.
Tying it all back.
Yeah, my bad. My full circle. Let's go.
I really want the mustache, though. That's what I'm missing. I can't cry. I'm so jealous. I have a lot of facial hair envy. I can't grow any facial hair.
What, nothing?
You can borrow hair?
I'm 65 years old. I can't grow. I'm just kidding for the listeners. I'm not. No, I can't. Yeah, just baby face. I got nothing.
How, even if you leave it on for 30 days, will there be anything?
Nope, hardly anything.
That's kind of easy as well, though. I mean,
super easy.
Like in half a day, me and Farad, we go and shave. We come back, we're like, what the fuck? What happened?
Your mustache is back. Your mustache is back.
Shaved, bro.
Yeah. My wife wouldn't like a mustache. I just want the flexibility. I think it would be fun. Like anything. I just want to try it. I think it would look great. But yeah, I can't do it. But no, back to your point. I could talk about facial hair all day. I think you're right. And this is what we've talked, like, our tagline at Slope was every company is a media company. Mm-hmm. And so like, even if you're boring, even if you're like a tax or a lawyer, like having a face, having that personal human connection with your customer base is really important. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're trying to bring people at Move so that you can get to know us a little bit better. There are real people. We're all working together. We're trying to make this stuff happen. We just launched this series where like people challenge us to go capture unique motions. Like, can you ride a bike on it? Can you
wait. So like, I would love that. Can we wait there?
Motion Impossible.
Can we do that? Okay. Can you challenge us to do one? I don't know if you've seen our YouTube videos. We love challenges. Actually, Polycam challenged us.
That's actually a really good idea.
Polycam once challenged us to go, and then we go all out for our challenges. We rented buggies. We went to the desert. We started scanning.
Yeah, you can challenge us, and we'll freaking do it.
We'll challenge it. So what we're working on handheld, so you can move the camera, and it will not just do a treadmill effect. It'll actually like have you moving in the 3D space, so you can be moving Move 1. And so that opens up a lot of fun challenges. Like, could you go skydiving?
Yes,
and one person's capturing. Could you horseback riding, but not the horse, but maybe you're on horse. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff you can skiing.
You are just making YouTube video here.
Dude, don't say that. We're gonna freaking do it.
So wait. Tell us, when can we go skydiving? Is skydiving just 30 minutes from our place? And get the camera right in front of us, start rotating it, and capture that movement. We are gonna do it.
So I am required to say, static cameras will give you the best results. If you move the camera, you will not get as good of results. It'll move the line. Your feet will go on So I put that first, Tino.
Okay.
Recommendation. But it works pretty well if you just hold it and move it around. Like, I ran next to a cyclist and it got it pretty well. So it can happen now, but our research team is working on making it a legitimate handheld, like supporting moving it and like actually locking in the horizon and showing the space. Yeah.
Farad is not wrong the moment, I guess, like we can even do it as soon as possible. But if you tell us, like that's something you guys are working
We wait for
on,
Dr.
We'll give you a
Nico's
cue.
green
Yeah.
light.
we will
Yeah,
literally
Dr.
wait for
Nico's.
your cue and then freaking
Wait
go and
for
do
it.
the
Wait for that
skydive.
launch video. Yeah, we might do that for launch video. I like that we're like an hour. So if you're still listening, I'll just keep getting looser and looser and like probably saying too much. But we're gonna keep trying stuff, and yeah, I'll let you know when the handheld stuff comes out.
How about underwater? Has anyone tried the underwater?
I think I
Yes.
saw Corridor. Was it Corridor? I don't know. I
Copilot.
think- yeah, Copilot tried that underwater.
Copilot just did the underwater challenge with Move One. I think they launched that video this week. Yeah, so underwater works relatively well. You can do it because it's it's like literally just a little behind the scenes here. It's literally a gravity setting.
Yes.
So if you wanted to mocap on the moon,
Space.
all we would do is change the gravity setting. If you want to do it on Mars, we just adjust to that gravity setting. So yeah, you can do underwater.
Wow. Okay, I think we want to officially subscribe to your, what was it? Motion Possible challenge?
Motion
and
Impossible.
Motion
Motion
Impossible
Impossible.
challenges.
Motion Impossible.
Any
Motion
challenges that
Impossible.
comes to your research team and you guys don't want to do it, send us a DM.
You do it?
We will go and do it for you guys.
I am
And
not going skydiving, so
Yeah,
yeah,
no.
that might be.
No,
a
we're
good
gonna
fit.
do it. We're gonna do it.
Bungee
Jumping,
skydiving,
zip
zip
Bungee
lining,
would be fun.
Yes.
anything.
Bungee jumping, interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
How would be? Yeah, the snap. How would it be
Yes.
like? The body can't. Yeah, that would be really interesting.
I think it's possible. I mean, you gotta try it, right? You won't know until you try it.
So you guys know
Yeah.
that you have testers here. Anything that you want to do in your research and you don't
I
have it in
appreciate
your
that.
lab,
I mean, we have a lot of time on our hands.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally in your name. It's like this is a bad decisions
Yes.
mocap test. Like we are making poor decisions capturing this, but we're gonna try it anyway.
No, that's precisely what it is, man. And we're gonna get on it. One of the next things, like I said in the very beginning of the podcast, is a Star Wars cinematic, and we're gonna do a fight scene. And we've been trying to choreograph that together and come up with something
Yeah.
dope. Are you a Star Wars fan by any
Yeah.
chance? Okay, so we've been rewatching almost all of the scenes, the battle scenes, and then going up with.
Yeah.
Farhad's favorite is the one with Anakin and Obi-Wan. Is that the favorite one that you got?
I mean, those are one of the good ones. The Darth
Episode
Maul that
3?
is. Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
so we are trying to remake one of, because we have the Darth Maul character now, so probably need to recreate Qui-Gon or Obi-Wan, and then we start the fight after that.
Yeah. Or the Battle of the Fates. Is that your favorite or the?
Both. I mean,
Both?
the one
yeah,
that.
Battle of the Fates is my favorite.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
When I
they're
like
all
before
good.
a basketball game,
Yes.
I'm watching Battle of the Fates, getting pumped up, getting going.
Well, you know, that's the thing. So we're gonna get a remake done, and then we're gonna try move with it, and then do a sword fight and see how it goes. We're gonna send you guys a video once it's done. But at the same time, we're gonna look forward to any challenges that come our way. You know, we'll take all of them. But all in all, Brian, just want to say thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing all the information about Move. For anybody that is watching and listening, of course, we're going to put down Move's information in the description. We'll put down your socials. But one last question before we go. What's next for Brian? What are you focusing on? Is there any next sports game you're going to? Like, what are the personal things that you're doing these days?
Personal stuff. I think the most fun I've had in my personal stuff is working with EuroLeague basketball this season.
Ooh.
So I've been obviously NBA fan, basketball fan my whole life, but recently moving to Europe in the last couple of years, the European basketball fans are crazy.
Wow.
So I just went to a game in Athens between Panathinaikos and Olympiakos. And they had to put up nets and cages in front of the visitor bench because the fans are so crazy, and like flares are going off and they're throwing stuff. And like, I was like, this is next level. I've never seen a basketball crowd like this. So yeah, I go to some of the big matchups for EuroLeague throughout the season to do video and photo work. And yeah, those are probably the most fun for me to go to right now.
Those are both Greek basketball teams, right?
Yep,
Because by the end of the name, I've never watched Greek basketball art. Like, I've never seen it.
amazing.
You're saying it's crazy.
And yeah, I mean, EuroLeague is, if you've ever watched a EuroLeague game, it is right up there with NBA games. Because NBA, there's like 82 games a season, like they're long seasons. EuroLeague is once a week, and it's like every game is huge, like a big playoff game. So like the intensity is just next level. Every game matters so much. So yeah, it's really intense.
Wow. We're looking forward to all of your videos from those tournaments.
Yes.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, Brian, thanks so much, man. Thanks so much for your time. And I guess we'll catch up soon, all right?
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
No
Thank
worries.
you.
And for everybody watching and listening, we'll see you guys next week. Until then, ciao.
Ciao.